Today, I'm going to talk about the impact of internet on journalism in India. But before that, I have to talk about the conditions, especially the economic conditions that led to the internet explosion in India. The first, I have to talk about liberalization of Indian economy and Indian media. Indian economy can be divided into three different phases. Since independence, Indian economic development has gone through three broad phases. These can be termed as public infrastructure, industrial control, and reform and decontrol. These phases are distinguished by two important policy variables as stated by Arvind Virman in Tokyo Dialogue on Alternatives to the World Bank, IMF approach to reforms and growth, organized by Economic Planning Agency in December 7, 1997 in Tokyo, Japan. The first phase was characterized by and large by the desire to identify market failure and missing markets and to use the public sector to fill the gaps in physical infrastructure of the country. The second phase was characterized by an increasing distrust on the private sector and corresponding view of the public sector as a panacea for all evils, and the separation of market responses through quantitative controls. The final phase of Indian economy was characterized by a slow but steady recognition of the problem of the government and public sector failure and the need to remove the distortions created by government policy itself. This phase underwent quantum change in 1991 to 1992 with a much clearer articulation of the reform philosophy and acceleration in actual economic reform measures. So, in Indian economic history, we have seen different phases or different periods like pre-colonial period extending up to 18th century. The advent of British colonial period where British colonization ending in Indian independence in 1947. From independence until liberalization, privatization and globalization, which is known as LPG era, starting from 1947 to 1991. And then post-liberalization phase, which is from 1996 to 2016. And then post-demonetization phase, which started from 2016 onwards and which is also known as GST era. Here, in this different phases of Indian economy before the advent of Indian internet system, we have to talk about the Nehruvian ethos of egalitarian society, which means a type of socialist economy where Nehruvian ethos of egalitarian society where every citizen will be treated as equal and equal distribution of national wealth, which is an amalgamation of industry and agriculture. For Nehru, modernization was India's national philosophy and involved 7 national goals like national unity, parliamentary democracy, industrialization, socialism, scientific temper, secularism, and non-alignment, and socialist economy. So, now talking about the Industrial Policy Resolution of 1948, which proposed a mixed economy. Earlier, the Bombay Plan, proposed by 8 influential Indian industrialists, including J.R.D. Tata and G.D. Biller, envisaged a substantial public sector with state interventions and regulations in order to protect indigenous industries. The political leadership believed that since planning was not possible in a market economy, the state and public sector would inevitably play a leading role in economic progress. So now I have to talk about the backdrop scenario of LPG policy and internet revolution. The collapse of the Soviet Union, India's major trading partner, the Gulf War, continued from 2nd August 1990 to 20th February 1991, which caused a rise in oil prices and then created a balance of payment crisis. India faced the prospect of non-payment of loans and asked for 1.8 billion bailout loans from IMF, which in return demanded economic reforms in India. That is the beginning of the introduction of LPG policies, that is liberalization, privatization, and globalization. So the liberalization means opening up Indian market to foreign investors, business houses, and corporate sectors. The advent of internet is a sequel of LPG policy, also the reformation of Indian economy. The advent of the internet has revolutionized journalism across the globe, including India. The profound changes brought about by the digital age or digital era need to be examined, both the positive and negative perspective and its impact on journalistic practices, audience engagement, and the overall media landscape in India. As traditional media struggles to adapt, new opportunities and challenges arise, reshaping how news is produced, consumed, and understood. So the rise of digital journalism in India is because of this internet revolution, which had led to the proliferation of digital news platforms, allowing for a diverse range of voices and perspectives. Traditional media outlets have expanded their reach through online portals, while new players or the digital players have emerged catering to niche audiences. This democratization of information has empowered journalists and citizens alike, enabling anyone with an internet connection to share news, views, and opinions. This transformation of news delivery, the internet has transformed how news is delivered, making it instantaneous and accessible. In India, online news platforms have surged, allowing for real-time reporting and updates. This shift has enabled journalists to reach wider audiences, breaking geographical barriers that once limited to traditional print or broadcast media. Globally, platforms like social media have become primary sources of news for many, changing the dynamics of news consumption. Another fallout of this internet revolution is the speed and accessibility it has brought in. One of the most significant impact of the internet on journalism is the speed at which news can be reported and accessed. Breaking news can be shared instantly across social media platforms, reaching millions in real time. This immediacy has changed audience expectations, with consumers now demanding up-to-the-minute updates. Additionally, the internet has made news more accessible to a broader audience, including those in remote areas who may not have had access to traditional media. Another phenomenon which cropped up because of the impact of internet revolution, that is citizen journalism, which is an alternative platform for mainstream media. The rise of citizen journalism has been a notable consequence of the internet's influence on journalism in India. Ordinary individuals can now report events as they happen, often using smartphones to capture and share newsworthy moments. This grassroots reporting has provided alternative narratives and has been particularly impactful during crisis, protests, and social movements where traditional media may have limitations. Despite all these factors or advantages, there are certain challenges, especially with respect to misinformation. While the internet has opened up newer avenues for journalism, it has also given rise to significant challenges, particularly concerning misinformation and fake news. The rapid spread of unverified information can lead to confusion, panic, undermining public trust in journalism. Journalists must now navigate a complex landscape where distinguishing credible sources from unreliable sources is increasingly difficult. There are also certain economic implications of this internet revolution. The shift to online journalism has also transformed the economic model of news production. Traditional media had a traditional revenue streams such as print advertising have declined, prompting many media organizations to explore new business models, including paywalls, subscriptions, or sponsored content. This transition poses challenges for sustainability, particularly for smaller outlets that may struggle to compete in a crowded digital marketplace. The internet has undeniably transformed Indian journalism, offering both opportunities and challenges. As the landscape continues to evolve, it is essential for journalists as well as citizens and the news organizations and the consumers to navigate this new media landscape thoughtfully, emphasizing media literacy, ethical reporting, and the importance of credible sources will be crucial in ensuring that journalism or journalistic practices remains a pillar of democracy in the digital age.